Welcome back to Total Death Edition. We have finally beaten Adventure Mode, so we're now moving on to the minigames, which have also been made drastically more difficult in this mod. The first minigame, as usual, is ZomBotany. Not only are the zombies stronger, but there are also more types of ZomBotanies in the TD mod. Against pea shooter zombies, I went with the obvious hard counter, garlic. Moving the zombies into an empty lane protects our sun producers and makes it easier for gloom shrooms to kill everything quickly. It is by far the most efficient defense possible. And since there are only pea shooter and walnut zombies before the first flag, it's just free gloom shroom value for the entire first half of the level. It gets a bit more tricky when squash zombies spawn after the first flag, since they can insta-kill our garlics, but it's no big deal since we have 8,000 sun to spare and like 5 doom shrooms in reserve by now. Anyways, now we super fast forward, and this level is essentially a free win compared to the hard levels we had in adventure mode. Then we have walnut bowling, which should be self-explanatory, but of course, it has been changed from the original game in Total Death Edition. To have only one basic zombie in the first wave? I don't know what happened with the spawn rate for this level, but this version of walnut bowling is even easier than the one in the original game. I suppose the modder couldn't make it harder, so might as well make it beatable for toddlers, I say. So yeah, another free win. But Total Death Edition is all about that sweet RNGesus if you've seen the adventure mode of this mod. And the next level is the definition of luck itself, since it's slot machine. Each slot spin now costs us 50 sun, by the way, which is twice as expensive as in the original game. But actually, we also get twice as much sun from the sky and sunflowers, so it's just scaled for this mod, I guess. But as you'd anticipate, there's not much strategy to this level. You can get complete trash like cactus, or you can just get lucky and win 3 sunflowers in a row early for an easy win. Just 5 sunflowers are more than enough to beat the level, since you just wait for a few waves to pass to accumulate enough sun, and we win automatically when we reach 2,000 sun. Another free win? Now I know I've been blitzing through these Total Death Edition levels like they're nothing, but I promise you there will be some difficult minigames, and this one should be pretty familiar for longtime viewers of the RCCH channel. Folks, welcome back, it's raining trash. Even though all the plants you get from the sky are completely random, lily pads have an artificially boosted spawn rate in this level to take up about a quarter of all the plants you will get. Yeah, I get that you need lily pads to plant in the water, but the problem is that they put literally none of the danger zombies in the water, and then put all the things that could kill you on the ground, like the all-star zombies and jack-in-the-box zombies. Please tell me how garlic is supposed to help out against these all-stars here. And all I want to do is improve my defense and replace my cabbage pulls. What do we get? Yep, more lily pads. When the entire pool is filled up already, I'm getting cactus, garlic. Do you get what I mean by it's raining trash? Like, what the hell am I using the split pea for? And later on, they sent so many football zombies and newspaper zombies, there's basically no way to beat them unless you have Doom Shroom or a perfect chain of instant kills. Too bad we got Sea Shroom when this newspaper zombie is mowing down our pumpkin, and then Talnut is even more useless because it starts moving towards the right, which means it can't even block off one newspaper zombie. What a great level this is! Getting trash when you're in danger pretty much sums up this entire level. Newspaper zombie on the bottom lane? Okay, here's the lily pad. What's next? Yup, another lily pad. And right before we lose, a third lily pad, because why not? Well, trash pads, man. And if we're not losing to getting trash pads, then we're losing to the bungee zombies because of course, it's a great idea to have them in a level where Umbrella Leaf is not one of the plants you can access. I mean, what defense? Why even bother having a defense? Just don't get trash and win, man. Well, you know, of course, we need another lily pad, and another lily pad, and we're dead. Fantastic, bro. Like, this game is so fun, man. Like, what the f? We're not even close to beating this level if we don't somehow make a sacrifice for RNGesus. So for now, I'm going to skip over this level and move on to something else. So I got back on track to beat more minigames, but thanks to newspaper zombies, Beghouled is an absolute nightmare of a level in this mod. We must upgrade to tall nuts as soon as possible and then shuffle our plants until we can block off the newspaper zombies to survive, which you guessed it again, is dependent on RNGesus. If you aren't careful and move away at a tall nut that you need, that will unblock the lane for a newspaper zombie, which is a way to lose in the first minute of the level. Not my best performance, that's for sure. But if you think you can cheese the level by spamming matches, you can't do that since you actually now lose a match for every mismatch you make. And you have to win before the first flag zombie comes since we don't have instant kills. So it'll start summoning bungee ambushes and kill off our entire defense very quickly if we don't do that. So it's mostly a game of speed to get the matches quickly enough, and I was only 5 matches away from beating the level, but then Flag Zombie decided to spawn a pole vaulter and the game decided to not give any matches. More RNGesus bullshit, I see. But thankfully, I was fast enough on the 4th attempt, getting 75 matches before the flag zombie even showed up, so that's Beghouled done. Now that's over with, it's time for Invisi-ghoul, the level where all the zombies are invisible. As usual in Total Death Edition, the spawn rate is 8 times higher, but the only attacker we have in this level are pea shooters and kernel bolts. Dear God. The only saving grace is the conveyor belt glitch, which lets us place plants faster than usual. It's technically cheating, but I'm pretty sure the level is impossible without it. You'll see how the other conveyor belt levels are also impossible without the glitch later on in the video. The flag zombie is the main problem, since pea shooters and kernel bolts don't do damage fast enough. Since it spawns a bunch of graves, and also summons bungee ambushes every 10 seconds, of which we can't even see, it destroys our defenses very quickly. Half our plants in the pool are already completely gone, and I'll speed this up for you guys, but just the flag zombie alone managed to kill the entirety of lane 3. And now we can't place any of our plants there, we're just a sitting duck until our brains get eaten. But we can deal with this problem by clogging the rightmost column with walnuts. This is to force the graves to not spawn in the front, so by the first flag, we can get a full column of squashes to kill the flag zombie instantly, no matter where it is. However, defending Jack-in-the-Box zombies and Dolphin Riders with just pea shooters and kernel bolts might as well be pointless. Any defense we get up is destroyed so fast that it's impossible to repair faster than we lose. That's even with the conveyor belt exploit. And just a few pea shooters won't be good enough against ghost bucketheads, which is what killed us in this attempt. Instead, our best defense is a whole column of squashes in the back. That is the safety fodder to defend off infiltrating zombies. And when we're up against waves with multiple zombonis, our squashes can at least keep our lawnmowers alive compared to what I did last run, which had basically no way of killing any of the zombies, and it was just letting everything die. But when we arrive at the final wave, we have another question to answer. How are we supposed to deal with the flag zombie if we now can't place a squash in the rightmost column? Well, the short answer is you simply don't. It's a game of where RNG spawns the graves, and if you're unlucky, then too bad. You can't squash the flag zombie, and it's an auto loss to the bungee ambushes, which will eventually spawn a zombie that ignores lawnmowers like a pogo zombie and goes straight into our house. Mind you that even if there aren't graves fully covering the rightmost column, you're also not guaranteed to get enough squashes to get rid of the flag zombie in whatever lane it spawns in. And of course, it's only a matter of time until it spawns a bungee ambush with a zombie that is unstoppable by pea shooters and kernel bolts. This level is just that stupid. But thank RNGesus, I didn't have to play this again because I killed the flag zombie on the final wave in this next attempt. I know you can't tell whether I did or not because the zombies are invisible, but the fact there aren't more graves spawning means that the flag zombie is dead. So that is Invisi-ghoul in the TD mod, beaten. So the next level is Seeing Stars. Yeah, I meant seeing a lot of plants. There's even a grave buster we have to fill in. And yes, there's actually no way for us to fill the grave buster outline if a grave doesn't spawn on the exact tile we need. So you'd be shocked to learn that somehow, this happened on the literal first grave spawn of the level. Statistically speaking, this is extremely unlikely, but that's just how I was handed the win on my first attempt of this level. Yeah, I'm getting a sense of how the modder is making these levels more difficult. Anyways, for the next level, I'll just let you see for yourself. Alright, let's go. Zombiquarium. What the hell? They instantly died. Are you freaking... Oh my god. Well, even in Zombiquarium, you can't catch a break from the modder's antics. Yeah, somehow we went from a strategy game into an aiming test. But thankfully I was good enough and fed the snorkel zombies fast enough on my third attempt. Super fast forward from here, I just got a few more snorkel zombies to feed and make more sun from, and that's all there is to Zombiquarium, which is pretty straightforward. Now moving on to Beghouled Twist, it's the same thing as Beghouled, except you have to twist to make matches and there's no punishment for making a mismatch. So it sounds easy to cheese the level by just spamming matches until we win, but the problem with that now is that the game crashes if we try to do a twist on a plant that gets crushed. I also thought we were behind the days of the crashes, but it's back. But since this is just the same thing as Beghouled but easier, there's not much else I have to say, since just spamming matches as quickly as possible is an easy way to beat the level. Super fast forward again, and we're done with this as well. Now moving on to Big Trouble Little Zombie, this level is just the same as the one in Adventure Mode, except there's one more flag. So I'm just going to skip ahead to the hardest section of the level. But since the last time I played this, I now know about the conveyor belt glitch that lets us get new plants much faster, which makes it basically impossible to lose since we're constantly replenishing our supply of cherry bombs throughout the level. So yeah, that's it for this level too. So, Portal Combat. This is another conveyor belt level, and the gimmick of this level is these two pairs of connected portals that teleport zombies and projectiles through to the other portal identical to the one they entered. But there's an additional catch. Portals periodically change the positions now and then, for the better or the worse. So of course this means our fate depends on RNGs because of how the portals could mess up our defense. I mean, luck is pretty much the name of the game if you just look at how the game trolls us here. What the heck? Are you kidding me? It went from here to here. But okay, at least the game doesn't spawn any more new zombies in lane 4, because it would be completely impossible for us to defend. So even if the portals are arranged like this right now, we're fine, but not for long. No, are you kidding me? It spawned right in front of the cactus and we couldn't kill it. Sure, man. I mean, it's all just luck whether you win or lose. But I'm just saying, we've still not had a real difficult level that's not just some pure RNG stupidity. And yes, I did beat this level on my second attempt, and it was a cakewalk since I got lucky enough with the portals this time around. But so far, nothing has been too difficult aside from its rating seeds, which doesn't really make sense considering this is total definition. But look no further since the remaining minigames will all be drastically harder than the ones we've seen so far. And I don't mean only a little harder, because every level from this point onwards is almost impossible. Well, most of them, I mean. The first of such levels is Call 'em Like You See 'em, which, the funny thing here is that there are no lily pads on the conveyor belt at all. Yeah, you can probably see the problem here. This leaves us with only one option to defend the water lane, Doomshroom. And while on the surface that may seem to trivialize the entire level, I'll show you why, even with Doomshroom, this level is nearly impossible to beat. Bro, come on. Come on. Where are Doomshrooms? Where's Doomshroom? Oh my god. More flower pots. More flower pots. More flower pots. More flower. What the heck is this? What the heck? Oh, it's all flower pots. It's all flower pots and all garbage. What the f? What is this? What? It's all flower pots. Always has been. And once again, we're at the wrath of conveyor belt RNGs to win. Mind you, we are already using the conveyor belt glitch to give us more plants than usual, and we're still not holding off the football zombies. Forget about the trash pan epidemic from its raining seeds, it's now the trash pot epidemic. This is making levels more difficult gone like way too far. Imagine playing this without the conveyor belt glitch. I'd rather bang my head into a wall than try to beat this crap. It's not even the water lane that gives us the most trouble, even though we have literally no lily pads. But the football zombies' immense speed combined with their high health makes it uncounterable without multiple jalapenos or doomshrooms. Melon potes aren't going to put a dent into these guys. And I'm not kidding you, but losing because you don't have doomshroom is the entire level in a nutshell. This has to be some kind of practical joke, because there's not even strategy involved with me winning or losing. It's just whether RNGs decided to bless me or not, and that's the only thing that matters. But of course, on a luck-based level, persistence is king. I didn't give up or skip the level, and I managed to do it in the end. It took me an hour of constant retries and praying for better luck from RNGs to get enough doomshrooms and jalapenos, but I did it. But this isn't even peak stupidity just yet, since this isn't even the hardest minigame we'll be beating today. If you thought Call 'em Like You See 'em was bad, Bobsled Bonanza is another step up in terms of difficulty. This is mainly because Spikeweed now causes 4,321 sun in the TD mod, so it's as good as useless. One of the biggest problems is that Zombonis are immune to slows, so they're unaffected by the permanent slow before the first flag. They also have double the health in the TD mod, so we need to already spend several instant kills to defend them on the first wave of the level, which then leaves us with absolutely none of those instant kills for the next wave. You see, that's a pretty big problem since the scaling is off the charts for this level, as the second wave is already 2 bobsled teams and a snorkel zombie, which there's basically only one way to clear them out again, an instant kill. But guess what? The next wave is here already, and now it's 3 bobsled teams. We don't even have our next kernel port set up because the new waves are spawning in so quickly, and there's no way to get up defense fast enough. And of course, the next wave is here again already, and now it's 2 dancing zombies and 2 more bobsled teams for us to deal with. Like, how are we supposed to not lose immediately in the early game? Oh yeah, we're dealing with 4 flags of this pure bullshit, by the way. Like, are you kidding me right now? There's literally no time to set up nearly enough comp cannons to survive, and the dancing zombies kill everything you place anyways. And the snorkel zombies make it so that you can't even use cattail to defend the ground lanes or get sunflowers in the water. We lost our entire defense within 2 minutes, and I wasn't even trolling. Literally, how? With comp cannons completely out of the picture now, the only safe option I could go to was Doomshroom spam, since it's the only thing that could possibly do with all 4 lanes at once in the early game. And while it does kill off large groups of bobsled teams easily, we still don't have a way to reliably kill off Zombonis. Their high health means that even multiple cattails can't clean them up fast enough, and it's simply impossible to keep up with all the zombies we get thrown at. So yes, even with Doomshroom, we lose within the first 2 minutes of the level again. So it may come as a shock that the way I've found to get through the early game is actually with Gold Magnet. The niche interaction is that a dancing zombie doesn't spawn backup dancers if it encounters a hypnotized zombie, making Gold Magnet a great way to protect our sunflowers without any setup required. And the good thing about Gold Magnet compared to Doomshroom is that the hypnotized zombies stay on the board after each wave. This means each Gold Magnet counters multiple dancing zombies, which is far more sustainable than using an explosive on every threat that comes. While dancing zombies are completely dealt with, we can then just spam blowovers off cooldown to kill the bobsled teams and the snorkel zombies. But obviously, this strategy is not going to deal with Zombonis because there's nothing in our loadout for us to do any serious damage against them. So while we didn't instantly lose in the early game, we only found a way to delay our inevitable death by a little bit and let Zombonis kill us instead. The only thing that I imagine could possibly meet the brave here is just spamming Gloomshrooms, since they're the only cheap enough plant to counter dancing zombies and bobsled teams this early on, while still doing some substantial damage against Zombonis for the later waves. But there's just no time to plant enough Gloomshrooms in the early game to not lose against Zombonis. We can't slow them down, we can't use cattails because of snorkel zombies, and we can't use spikeweed. There is basically nothing that we could even possibly try if everything just dies in the first 2 minutes of the level. And the one way I got to get around this problem is to just hope that Zombonis don't come in the early game. It's not a strategy, but if you have a better way to beat this level, then you can definitely tell me. But you'll see that even with the extra Gloomshrooms, we still don't have enough of them by the first flag to counter Zombonis. Honestly, I'm completely out of ideas of what could even beat this absolute madness. And as for now, I can't really find a way to beat this level. Any conventional way of stalling does nothing, there's no time to set up a long-lasting defense, and even instant kill spam doesn't work because we need 2 to kill each Zomboni, which gets too expensive too quickly. For now, I'm just skipping over this level since I'm hard stuck here. And if you thought Bobsled Bonanza was tough enough, Zombie Nimble Zombie Quake is somehow another step up in difficulty from that. This level's special gimmick is that the game is 5 times faster than usual. Yes, I am not speeding this up in post. Sunflowers recharge in literally 1 second, and we have to beat 4 flags of the game running at 5 times the speed. Every fast zombies is undefendable since there's so little reaction time against them. Forget about the Tangle Kelp and Lollypacks and Stop Dolphin Riders. All-Stars, even funnier, only takes 1 second to cross the entire lawn, and we died already. I didn't even know how I died while I was playing, but I know my head hurts from looking at that. The best shot we got at beating this level is with the lowest maintenance plants possible, which are going to be Chompers and Doomshrooms. But even that isn't good enough, since you can't react to the zombies and then activate your Doomshroom in time before it's dead. I don't think there's any way this is possible without macros or hotkeys to place plants, since just moving the mouse to select a new plant takes up like 2 to 3 seconds of real time, which is time we can't afford to spend on placing a single wall plant. But I guess the best choice I have for now is to use Doomshroom as our only defense, since it minimizes the amount of plants we have to plant to defend. So it wastes the least amount of mouse cursor moving time in exchange for defense. It's why we managed to get further in this run than in my last run, but still, it ain't pretty, since just once we're out of Doomshrooms, we're out of business. Now obviously, we can't run 4 Doomshroom seed packets, so we can only utilize other explosive plants like Cherry Bomb and Jalapeno to do our bidding. But of course, this isn't enough to defend against all the zombies because there are 6 lanes, and Cherry Bomb plus Jalapeno only covers 4 lanes when Doomshroom is on cooldown, so we have to constantly lose lawnmowers to survive. I think it's pretty much safe to say that there's no way in hell I'm going to beat this level, so we're skipping this one level too, and I'll need some way to somehow counter the all-star zombies. But now, we come to a dilemma. Since I'm stuck on 3 levels, it's raining seeds, Bobsled Bonanza, and also Zombie Nimble Zombie Quick, I have to beat one of these 3 levels to unlock the next minigame, and I can't beat any of these 3 levels right now. So to unstuck myself, I made some small adjustments to the game. We're back on Bobsled Bonanza, but I made Spikeweed 150 Sun and Spike Rock 200 Sun. I mean, come on, you gotta cut me some slack here. Now that I've made Spike Rock and Spikeweed actually usable, all our problems with the Gloomshrooms dying to Zombonis in the early game are completely gone, since we can easily kill off any of these Zombonis by paying a relatively low amount of sun. And after we get up all our Spike Rocks and 4 Gloomshrooms, all there is left to do is to just sit back and grab a drink, and just let Spike Rocks kill off all the Zombonis and replace them with new Spike Rocks when we can, and then wait for Gloomshrooms to rip through all the dancing zombies before they can even spawn any backup dancers. At this point, it might as well be impossible for us to lose our defense anymore because nothing they throw at us will be a problem. So that's one way for us to get through Bobsled Bonanza. Wait, this is just straight up cheating. Why do I even bother playing the game if I can just change the cost of any plant at any time? So I felt super guilty of beating this level by cheating, so I went back to this level off stream to beat it legitimately instead. But yeah, what even was my plan here if I couldn't even make it to the second flag without cheating previously? Well, I'm not kidding you, but I spent days analyzing my failed runs to understand what we needed to beat this level, and I came up with this loadout. Cob Cannon is our main damage dealer, but every other plant I have here is just as important and irreplaceable, even Marigold. Without Marigold, we couldn't get our first Cob Cannon fast enough, and the first wave would certainly kill us. We also need the extra sun so we can afford lily pads to place the Cob Cannon in the water to protect it. But after the first wave, we won't have our second Cob Cannon yet, and the dancing zombie is already coming in, so what do we do here? This is where Potato Mine comes into play, a way for us to kill the dancing zombie for only 50 sun. And of course, we're using Potato Mine instead of Squash because we need to save Squash to kill Zombonis instead. Who would have known Potato Mine was the missing piece of the puzzle all along, to help us conserve instant kills. Instead of spending a cop shot, we can achieve the same effect with a Potato Mine. But just because we survived the early onslaught doesn't mean we can afford to slip up at all. We still need to place down a bunch more Cop Cannons to ensure that we have enough of them to survive against the pure Zomboni spam later on in the level. So we need to keep min-maxing our sun production while we still can, by not using the cop shots when we don't need to. And most importantly of all, we have to properly time our cop shots so that we don't ever miss a dancing zombie, because just one dancing zombie slipping through is an instant game over. There is no margin for error here, and mistakes are unacceptable, but I was able to pull through and time all my cop shots perfectly against every single wave after wave, and we only have barely enough resources to beat every single wave, but I did it at last, the second flag mark, and I managed to get up all 11 cop cannons we needed to set up without losing. And now, time for the absolute destruction of all the remaining zombies in Bobsled Bonanza. And there we have it. Bobsled Bonanza beaten without using RNG manipulation or changing the cost of plants, just as the modder intended. I don't think he ever expected anyone to beat this level, but of course, I'm always pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PvZ on this channel. So now we're done with Bobsled Bonanza, we have unlocked the Whack-A-Zombie, which now has a difficulty selector, as if the adventure mode Whack-A-Zombie wasn't hard enough already. Now, let me clarify here that the non-hard version of this level is the same as Whack-A-Zombie we already played during adventure mode, so I'll just be showing you how exactly they made this level even harder. Welcome to Whack-A-Zomboss. Self-explanatory what this level is, but I'm most certain that this is beyond impossible, considering it takes over 10,000 whacks to kill Zomboss. I had an auto-clicker set to 1,000 clicks per second to make sure I couldn't lose, so I managed to kill Zomboss relatively quickly. And imagine if I didn't. I probably would have broken my fingers trying to do this. But anyways, since someone actually beat Whack-A-Zombie from Brutal Mode EX Plus without an auto-clicker, I'm looking forward to whoever is good enough to beat the level without cheating, since there's no way this could be beaten. Right? So maybe let's look at a harder version of another level that doesn't make it impossible, ZomBotany 2. The first ZomBotany was a cakewalk, but we've got some new competition in the second iteration. Since Gloomwalk was so effective in the first ZomBotany, that's the first thing I'm trying this level too. As expected, it was super smooth sailing in the early game since they were only pea shooters and walnut zombies. As for the buckethead screen door pumpkin zombies that also get introduced into early mid-game, turns out it's just a screen door zombie with more health. It barely survives an explosive, but it has so little HP left afterwards, just a Gloomshroom will clean it up very quickly, so it's basically a non-threat. When a first flag comes though, it becomes blatantly obvious why the same strategy we used previously isn't going to cut it this time around. First are the Blover Snorkel zombies, which on top of insta-killing all the plants it touches, also damages every plant on the screen every 10 seconds it's alive. Second is the bajillion pea shooter and Gatling pea zombies that literally kill everything so quickly we can't replace our garlics fast enough. It's not even one wave in and all our garlics are already cooked. I couldn't keep anything but one lane of plants alive, which should tell you how bad these ZomBotanies were. And on top of that problem, even if you try to just keep one lane of plants alive, you can't stop the jalapeno zombie from wiping that out too. Well, anyone got any ideas on how we're gonna beat this? Well, time for the return of the dumb strategy. It's just diabolical at this point how often the answer to our problems is to just use Doomshroom. 8 Conehead pea shooter zombies? 1 Doomshroom will clean that right up. Did anyone say there was a huge wave of zombies approaching? Well, not anymore for the cost of only 200 sun. And the zombie lineup makes it much easier to abuse Doomshroom since there isn't much that can kill them in the water lane. Squash zombies can't spawn in the water, and everything else in the level moves at slow speed, meaning just stalling every zombie with Ice Shroom and Blover is enough for us to kill every zombie with Doomshroom and Imitator Doomshroom. I don't know why exactly they didn't bring back the Sunflower zombies, which would have made this a lot more difficult, but just using Doomshroom turns this from one of the hardest levels into one of the easiest. And there we have ZomBotany 2 beaten. Only a few more levels to go until we're done with the original minigames. And while we are on the topic of harder versions of other minigames, we also have Walnut Bowling 2. The funny thing about this level though is that for some reason, the giant walnuts move super fast across the lawn. At this speed, interactions start to break down, and this causes some zombies to be skipped over by the giant walnut, which is definitely strange. But because of the conveyor belt manipulation, it should come as no surprise to you guys that this is yet another easy level since we can just get infinite giant walnuts as soon as we clock the conveyor belt with 4 walnuts and 4 Explodo nuts, which obviously kills everything the game throws at us, which pretty much is all there is to Walnut Bowling 2. But that is about time we have for today. Subscribe to stay tuned for more TD Mod episodes for the remaining minigames and levels, and I'll see you all next time.